Good.
I fixed it. All
Good.
right. Mark's here from New York.
Great.
Mr. Girton is here from London.
Sarnia, actually, but a member of the London Club.
Sarnia. With the Sarnia Town Reggae from
Good to see you, Mark.
Max Webster. So.
Same here.
Yeah, we'll get an update from you in a moment. What's happening south of the border?
Yeah,
Hey,
unfortunately,
Jonathan.
Eric's unable to make it tonight, so I'll be doing the sharing of on the tables or letting you guys, when you guys have stuff to share,
Okay.
You guys can share. So Harvey, is there anything you want to say before we?
No, just greetings. I finally made a meeting, so usually Mondays is bad for me, but I felt bad not being able to make my own meeting, so I'm here tonight. So my apologies, but I'm here tonight. So welcome everyone. Yeah.
Okay, great. And I see Max has joined. Welcome, Max. Max is coming in all the way from Florida.
Oh wow.
There you go. So
Max, we got to get an intro from you in a moment, or maybe we can do that now. Like any other while you're on it, David.
Well,
like,
I should.
In the middle, I'm in the middle of sipping beer, so yeah.
Okay, Max, why don't you introduce yourself?
I just realized I had the camera lens covered.
Oh, Max, please introduce yourself.
Hey,
Yeah.
Max.
How's everybody
Max
doing?
from Max's Models.
That's
Max, you're a rock star.
Oh,
Yeah. Hey,
yes,
Max,
yes, I
where's that
am. I
Tom
really am.
Daniel interview?
I have come on, gosh, I gotta move the whole computer here. Needless to say, I just got off the exercise bike, took a shower. Don't worry, guys, I smell good. I just had a shower. So first off, thanks for the invitation.
You're welcome.
I forget who sent it to me, but I want to thank you guys very much. And yeah, Max's Model down here in Florida. I started off doing some history videos for my own edification. And when I went out for hip surgery, one morning I started talking into my phone just out of boredom with my coffee, and the channel exploded. I had 1,500 hits that afternoon. I thought I was misreading. I was about to go get new glasses or something. And it's been going gangbusters ever since. I don't monetize or anything. This is strictly a labor of love kind of thing. And I want to kind of keep it that way, but I'm thrilled.
Great to have you,
Max.
By the way, Canadians are disproportionately way overrepresented. I'd say per capita, just based on my channel, per capita, more Canadians build than any other group that I'm familiar with.
We have big long winters. That's why.
Yeah. It's cold up here. There's nothing to do up here.
Or as I call them, COVID rehearsals.
Yeah.
We've been locked up a long
Is it
time.
too
Max.
soon?
Yeah.
Hey, Max,
Yeah.
that interview that you had with Tom Daniel, has it? When are we going to see that?
Okay. TD is 85 and he lives out in Utah. He doesn't do technology. He actually sent, the only thing he sends is old emails or takes phone calls. By the way, Jim Keeler's about an hour away from Keeler Customs. Only lives, but they both, I don't know what it is about these old retired kit model guys, designers go retiring to Utah. But anyway, TD, I'm wearing one of the t-shirts he gave me. He has suggested, since on my channel every 2 months we do a build, and we're working on the I literally just about an hour ago posted our viewers build, but I'm getting ready to post the Canadian build I'm sorry, going off a rabbit hole. Point is that he was talking about, since our next group build, which will be in 2 months, is going to be a Tom Daniel inspired build. I'd like to see some people kit bash, but if they just want to do one of Tom's kits and submit it, that's fine too. But he was actually offering to send me a couple of t-shirts to give to whoever the viewers thought had the best models. So I thought that was nice of him. And but I don't know if I'm ever going to get an actual interview with him in person. I did a bio on him, and he helped me with that, so I know it's accurate. And somebody out there, though, it's actually on his website, about 15 or 20 years ago, around 2000, I guess, actually sat down with him and interviewed, and he sold the CD. And the first one's on YouTube, about the first half, not the second half. But but anyway, I would love to. I don't think I'm going to be able, with COVID and everything. I don't think I'm going to. I mean, we're down here in the States, we're kind of back to normal, but I can't really jet off to Utah to do that. Although I'd love to. But it's if we do an interview, it would probably just be an audio interview. That I could probably pull off. So the thing with TD is trying to keep him on model. He knew everybody, but it's trying to keep him on track. He like a lot of 85-year-old guys. How can I put this? He's very honest and candid, and all that implies. And if you guys are familiar with him, Embarrass and some of the other stuff, that's
for those of you, for those of you guys, for anybody who's not familiar with Tom Daniel, like I didn't recognize the name, but then I looked him up, and he designed a lot of the monogram, like really wild looking, like custom built automobile kits, things like some of the
Red
choppers, Red Baron, Dragonfly, Dog Catcher. So
Boot Hill Express.
No, he didn't
Ice-T.
actually, he did not do the Boot Hill Express. I put that in the video, and I had to put in the comment section. That was a mistake. That was, I forget the name of the guy who did that. Here's the Rommel's rod that he sent me with his personal signature on it. And
wow.
I built the one that Garfield sent me, and I keep it. This is one of the few models that lives on my desk. Oh gosh, the name eludes me. I think as many times I've had to apologize for putting it on there. I'd remember it by now. But he did, I think, 140 kits for Monogram over an 8-year period, and not according to Ralph Meeker, who was one of the wheels at Monogram, and this is actually in Graham's book. He said it's not an overestimation or hyperbole to say that Daniel may very well have saved Monogram and got him back in the black after the slot car crash in '65. I'm sure you guys are aware that in '65, all the kit model companies are highly invested in slot cars. And then I can only guess that everybody had one and one had one, because like apparently at one point they just kneecapped and they were all stuck with millions of dollars of inventory, which in 1965 was saying something. And then Tom Daniel comes along, and because the people at Monogram were familiar with his work, he wound up, the first one he did was the beer wagon. I don't know if you guys have ever built that. Anybody built the beer wagon? I haven't. It was like his what do you call it, interview. He met with them, and Robert Reeder, who ran the floor operation. The two guys who ran Monogram were Bob Reeder and God, I can't believe I'm forgetting the other guy's name off. It'll come to me in a second. But anyway, Reeder ran the operation. The other one counted the money. And Reeder said, we want to make this 1/25th scale or 1/24th scale 1925 or 28 Mack truck, which when TD started working, and by the way, he goes by it's Daniel, no S on the end, not Daniels, it's Tom Daniel. And also he goes by TD, at least people that know him. But anyway, so he says, look, he does the drawings. This thing's going to be like this big. Are you sure you want to make them all the big? They said, okay, we'll chop it down and customize it. And then he chopped it down and made the beer wagon. And they were real impressed. It did well. So he'd always wanted, because he just has an artist's eye, he'd always wanted to put a little German coal scuttle helmet on a T-bucket hot rod. And they said, well, what else you got? He showed them that. He did that. They sold 3 million of them in 2 years. It was their #1 selling model. And by the end of his second year at Monogram, his designs accounted for 60% of their sales. Wow. Meeker says it pulled them back into the black, out of the red into the black. And but the thing is he, now of course you got to adjust for mid-1960s dollars. He only got $400 per one he did.
Yeah.
Which is about $4,000 today. And he did negotiate a very small commission on each one sold, royalty. But I mean, he never argued with him over money. He'd grown up during the Depression. He knew what it was like to do without, and he was happy to have regular work. And it was all contract work. He was never a Monogram employee.
Wow. So there's some that's really kind of cool to hear, because I remember I'd never built any of them, but I remember growing up and seeing the kits available. And I thought, oh, these are kind of cool. I mean, it really takes you back, right? So really takes you back. Thanks for that, Max. Like, I mean, we'll be back to that for sure. We'll come back to it for sure. I mean, lots of stuff.
Don't let me. You got to cut me off, and don't be polite about it. I know Canadians traditionally very polite. I'm kind of your ugly American. You gotta taste it, Max. Time to take a breath, like Ken does sometimes. I'm used to doing this by myself, and I go, oh, wait a minute, I'm not the only one here today.
No, this is Max. This is a free for all, so no worries. We're having a total free for all night tonight, so all is well. Chat.
Quick question. Do you got any of you guys know what airport, what military air base is by Wilmington, North Carolina?
No.
Well, I fly into Wilmington. I used to with my previous carrier.
Right. Was it a naval air station or just?
Okay. Cherry Point. It's a Marine Corps station.
Oh, okay.
I think that's Cherry Point. I believe is the one you're talking about.
My daughter just landed there to do a organ retrieval, and she said, "Dad, there's lots of military jets around here." So,
yeah, they got Ospreys there also. You'll see the.
Oh, cool. Right.
I saw one of those things at Wilmington's the first time I saw one fly. I guess they were training.
Oh, cool.
And it came down like a helicopter. I didn't think much about it. Oh, that's odd. It took off. Those tilt rotors went down and he was gone.
Wow, cool.
I hear 7 seconds of dead time. I'm going to say something.
Yeah. I got a question. I got a question for everybody because I might as well ask it. Did anybody have problems using the password this evening to get into this meeting?
No problems.
No.
Okay.
No problem.
So we have somebody who has a user issue then. Okay.
Oh, they're having it now, David? They're having it now?
Yeah, it's okay. I can take care of it. Harvey, I'll pass it over to you. I don't know if you have any announcements.
Is there any? Yeah, I'll continue a bit. Is there any other new members here? No, just Max.
Well,
Okay.
I'm a member of this. I'm not a member of Torcon because
Well, the way it works here is we're during Zoom, Max, we're certainly allowing anybody to join us for free. Don't worry about joining up. And we're, in fact, a good segue, guys. We're looking into getting back to our face-to-face meetings. Dave Forrest has been trying to contact Loblaws to no effect. So we're going to keep trying to call them, and he's going to let me know when we can get back in to our face-to-face meetings. But we are not doing away with Zoom calls. And I'll talk to David and Eric and Robert, but we'll figure something out that I'm thinking that we'll probably do the Zoom calls a different night so that otherwise there's too much happening at our face-to-face, but we'll figure that out. But for now, it's Zoom until we get into Loblaws. I know some guys are asking. Loblaws is, for those of you not in Canada, is a supermarket chain where we do our meetings for IPMS Toronto and AMPS. Okay.
Is Loblaws the only option, or are there other things you're considering when we get back to face-to-face? Like we used to be in a school cafeteria.
Yeah.
Any other options?
Yeah, good question, Derek. I have been looking at options, and actually I have one. We can meet in a Legion Hall, and we can meet at I think an office that one of our friends in the Vet Build has offered up. But the problem with those two locations, they're kind of southwest of us, pretty far down by the CNE.
Okay.
So it's kind of out of the way.
Yeah,
so we do have a place to meet, but we're trying to get something central Toronto, Derek. As you may recall, we did Forest Hill, Lawrence, and we're trying to keep it in this area. So if any of you guys know of anything in central Toronto, let us know.
I can tell you the Legion Hall near the CNE, that's actually not too bad. That's still vaguely, it's west, but you know, I kind of like that. I would definitely like that location way better than others.
Yeah.
The only problem with any Legion that I remember is that they may have an age issue. You can't be under 18 or something.
Oh, is that right? Oh,
we had trouble with the Army Navy up in Barrie because it was an age thing.
Huh.
Maybe there's like a window and the teenagers can stand
That's
outside.
kind of weird, but then you got cadets going in there, so I have no idea.
So you'd have to check with each one, I bet.
Yeah, we'll cross that bridge. But in the meantime, I think these Zooms are really working. Like we're up to 29 tonight. And I've been a part of the one that Mark Norman got me into. Thanks, Mark. And so these are very popular. So we'll continue. And tonight we don't have any formal presentation. We'll just do show and tell and, just have a gab fest. I've got some stuff to show David that I'll share my screen, maybe play a video, something like that.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, let's, I guess what I'll do is I'll get into the show and tell. So let me see if I can work this because
so
I always suck at.
While David's queuing up the show and tell, after we'll do some more Gab Fest. Anybody hear about shows? We'll do that kind of stuff, and we'll get a report from our Mr. USA Mark Norman on what's happening south of the border as well after that. Okay. All right.
Okay, so hopefully you can see.
Yep. We can see something.
Okay. Let me see. Do you see the names here? I'm
Yep.
scrolling. Okay, good. So let's start off. I'm going to start with Brian's
Sure. Why not?
stuff here. And
So you
I'll
guys,
just
yeah.
bring this up. Give me a minute, and I'm going to get it over
Yep.
here on the right
Yep.
screen. So that there we are. That's a bit better.
Mhm.
Hopefully you guys can
There
see
you go.
that,
Whoa.
right? So this is,
Oh,
This
that's
is
cool.
good.
we
That's
know what this is, don't we? Go
Yeah,
ahead.
you guys saw this
Of
last
course.
week, and I had some stuff to do. I couldn't show up to the meeting, and you kind of went through the images real quick. So I said, screw it, I'm going to narrate this. This time I'll do it properly. This is the Polar Lights kit. It's 32 scale. It came out in 2019. It is quite large, as you can see, compared to the old AMT kit, which was much smaller. Quality and detail is much higher, of course. As a bit of trivia, the AMT actually, in exchange for the rights to sell model kits to Star Trek, they actually built the original shuttlecraft Galileo prop, the set used in the movie. So, and in the movies, the TV show. So you see Kirk and Spock and all them on the shuttlecraft that was built by a model company, well, paid for by them anyway.
Cool.
The kit itself, I got it because of the subject matter, but also it's just a box. I figured, how hard can this be? And I don't actually recommend it because there's fit issues and there's some super finicky angles on the top half there. You have to get absolutely perfect, and you're never going to get it absolutely perfect. The engineering did not need to be this bad at all. All they needed were a couple of bulkhead pieces in the middle there to lean the parts against, and then you're perfect. But they didn't do that, and I ended up having to spend, like, I think, days or weeks stretching parts apart gently with this and that, and it took forever. Just killed my mojo in a lot of ways there. It's silly that they had to do it that way. Parts and decals are misnumbered in places as well. The quality just kind of, for 2019, just wasn't there for a major company, I'm afraid. Decals, though, I was really worried about because Polar Lights have a bad reputation on those, and they just disintegrate if you look at them funny, but these decals actually work really well. Yeah, so it took a long time to get it assembled, but once it was assembled and I did that first coat of paint, it started looking really good. And it, like, within a day or two, it went from being like a collection of parts that was really pissing me off to a nearly finished model, as you see there. And it really felt really good to get that done. Supposedly, there's a version of this kit coming down the pipe now with an interior. I haven't seen that on the market yet, just previews. I haven't seen previews of the interior, but maybe I did that because nobody else would do an interior for the kit. And maybe when this interior kit comes out, they'll have something of an interior bulkhead to keep those parts in place, and the assembly will get better.
Can I ask a question about this?
Brian, roughly what's the size of this model here?
You can actually see my laptop in the picture there. It's on my coffee table.
Oh.
You can go back to the first picture and get a sense of scale. So it's like, I don't know, 8 or 10 inches long or something like that.
Oh, that's your laptop. Okay.
Yes. So it's pretty decently sized. It's 32 scale. So
that's great.
Yeah.
So Brian, I take it this is basically built out of the box.
This is built straight up out of the box. There's actually a couple of small things I didn't quite get right. The landing strut in the rear. I attached that before I painted it, and I realized, oh, I should have done it in gold or whatever. If I take it to a show or something, I'll do more detail painting on that first. But
Right.
the end of
And
it,
you're not going to weather it.
Sorry, I'm not going to weather it because it was never. It's a movie prop, so it's a model of a model really, and it wouldn't look right to me if I tried weathering it. You can totally do that, but I just said, you know what? I want to make it look like it shows up in the TV show.
Yeah, it looks perfectly good the way it is.
As somebody just posted in the comments there, round 2 was showing off the interior for this weekend at Wonderfest in Louisville, Kentucky.
Okay.
And the plan is they're going to release the interior kit separate for people like me that already own the kit. And then later they'll do a release that includes the interior with the rest of the kit.
Okay, cool.
Brian, are the doors separate? Can you pose them open, or are they molded like the old?
You cannot pose them open. There is no, the way the kit came, there was no interior way to do an interior at all. But that was a good question there, Max. I mean,
but they were separate. I mean, the doors are separate.
Yeah,
they're not molded in place.
Right, they're not molded in place. Okay. I think the upper parts there, the door is, I think those are separate parts they glue in place, and there's clear parts for the windows. I think they were getting ready to do an interior, but they just said, screw it, we're going to put it to market first. So, it's one of those situations, I think.
Does it come with a guy in a red shirt?
Yeah, but he comes as a little. They do, but he comes as a little bag of ashes. Too soon? I've got the old AMT one on the shelf, which
Yep.
at a distance looks fine, as long as you keep the front facing your display, where people look at it.
Yeah.
Is this about the same size?
It is not the same size. The old AMT kit is relatively small. I think it's 48 or something like that. I think it might have been box scale, one of those weird things.
Yeah, I think it was box scale.
This is pretty sizable.
You guys want to hear some trivia about the Spock mold?
This looks really nice. Go ahead.
Anybody here ever build the Mr. Spock? Any of them?
No.
The old one and the new one all came out of the same mold. And yeah, they had to destroy the old one to cut it up for the new one to make the new uniform. I had the distinct pleasure before he passed away of working fairly extensively with Andy Anchus on the Aurora files. And there's a whole thing behind that. And everybody's like, how come they made just Spock and never the other characters? Well, as was mentioned, AMT got the rights by providing the sets and they had was it Winfield, I think it was, that made the full size. Anyway, point I'm getting at is that Steve Poe, who was the guy he also wrote that book, The Making of Star Trek, under a pseudonym in Whitfield. Anyway, point I'm getting at is that the Enterprise sold so fast, and that they were like, we've got to have more models to make. And AMT, people don't appreciate how cash strapped Desilu Studios was, and how little Paramount the guy that wanted to put into the show. I mean, literally, they could not afford to pay a few $1,000s to cut some models for the studio. So AMT was like, we need a ship, we need a ship, we need a ship. And they begged Matt Jeffries on his own time, by the way. He was not allowed to do this in the studio because of union rules. At his home, he designed the Klingon battle cruiser, submitted it to Gene, submitted it to AMT. They cut 2 of them out of block wood that both still exist. They were roughly 3 feet. Somebody just recently did a video that detailed this. But anyway, so one went to AMT that could be pulled apart to make the Klingon ship, and the other went to the studio for all the filming that you saw. And the Klingon battle cruiser was on the shelf, I believe, a month before it appeared on camera, if I got that right. I'm doing this off the top of my head. Anyway, they were like, what else can we make? What else? Make more stuff, make more stuff. Well, somebody said, hey, why don't we make the characters? AMT we don't do characters, okay? Aurora, and I think it might have been Gia Marino, found out that the AMT contract with now Paramount, I believe, was only for the vehicles, and also only for domestic sales. Believe it or not, Aurora had Aurora Canada, Aurora UK, Aurora was all over the globe. But AMT they were not interested in selling outside the US border. They had virtually zero international presence. And so they were like, if you would like to sell the Enterprise or whatever, anything we make outside of the United States, you can buy those rights from us. And they did, which is why for 2 years, you guys may remember, there are Aurora models of the USS Enterprise. And they're only made for 2 years. I think they're only sold for 2 years before they're all gone. That was because that was a license they had. And if you can find one of those in an Aurora box, grab it, don't build it. It's the exact same model. It's just in an Aurora box, but the box alone is a rarity. And it'd be a first generation with the crappy sagging engines. But the AMT, or excuse me, AMT said, yeah, we don't do people. If you want to make some human figures, go ahead. So Aurora went, and Andy sent me pictures of the actual pattern, the hand-cut wood pattern. And you can see a picture of it, the hand-cut wood pattern, the original Mr. Spock model. Now, what they do is they cut every single part, because this is what's going to be pantographed to cut the mold. They glue it together with a rubber glue, and then have an artist paint it. And they take pictures of that, and for like promotionals. Then they tear everything apart, strip it, and they start cutting the molds. Well, about this time, Star Trek was going on, had gone off the air, although their stuff was still selling pretty well, which is why AMT kept coming up with new stuff. Aurora was going to put these into production, and apparently one of the Aurora management just said, no, we're not going to do that. Put it back in the vault. All right. No, yeah. Talk about missed opportunities. But the plot thickens. It's now 1972, 3 years after the show's off the air. A senior rep from Aurora, UK, comes to now remember, Aurora had cut the mold, not AMT. The AMT had sold them the rights, and they come. This guy from the UK goes, "Let me see what you've got in the vault." And you have to understand, this is a place any of us will go. You would open the vault, and according to Andy, you would walk in, and it was just shelves, all climate controlled. It was shelves, and with all of the original patterns usually built up. Okay, these are the things that were used to cut the mold. So this is kind of like nerdvana for model makers. This is he goes in there, and Andy cherry picks a few things, rolls out, shows him the Mr. Spock, and the guy goes absolutely bananas, screaming, "We got to have that! We got to have that!" So they go ahead and cut the molds. Actually, I think they may have the molds cut in Portugal, but they sent the thing to the UK. They sold millions of them in UK, and now everybody wanted it. So AMT wound up leasing and then buying the mold for Spock from Aurora and putting it in production as AMT kit. They leased it for a couple of years, and they finally just bought it because Aurora, was heading into the abyss. And it's just one of those weird things. They could have been selling this. They could have made this kit anytime they want. We don't do figures, we do cars, spaceships, and it was actually cheaper to send the molds to Canada and have them shot there, because at the time, and I don't know how it is now, Canada being a commonwealth of the UK could ship apparently tariff free to the UK, but it gets in those international tariff stuff. But AMT and Aurora were sitting on a gold mine for about 3 years, and it wasn't until a rep from the UK insisted it go into production that it took off. And then of course they couldn't make the figures fast enough.
It was a mold shop in Windsor, Ontario here that was shooting all the AMT stuff even back then, right up until they were doing all the old TNG stuff, and the Enterprise and all the tooling and stuff was all being done down in Windsor.
Nah, makes sense. Right across, yeah, just drive it across the river.
Yep.
That's it. That's kind of cool to hear that type of history. I'm gonna move on here to Paul. I know Paul.
1 second.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Brian. Yeah.
It's okay. Just one last thing while I've got Max's ear here. Thank you so much for all those history videos.
Oh,
those are amazing. Keep doing all that stuff. And if you sell merchandise, if you sell coffee mugs, I will buy one.
Actually, I don't sell anything because frankly I haven't got the time to deal with it. But I tell people, go out on the Facebook page and download the logo. I had this made. My wife had this made for me at Walmart, and Garfield, who I call Orange Tabby for obvious reasons, had 4 of them made. And he sent me a picture of them, and oh my gosh, I did something to my screen. I'll figure it out. But I went to full screen and everybody disappeared.
All right.
Well,
there you are. There you're back.
There you are. Yeah.
Hi.
Okay, so I got to go on. Brian, thank you very much for that.
That's great, Brian.
That's really kind of cool. I'm going to move on to, we were talking about Tom Daniel, and this is sort of not necessarily Tom Daniel, but it's in that type of vein. This is something that Paul had sent in, and Paul, you could describe what's going on here.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
I
These
just built that kit about a month ago for the first time ever.
Did you, Max?
Yeah, it's in
How
the
did it work
right
out?
now.
Because this is the worst engineered kit.
Oh my God, it's horrible. I wasn't going to say anything, but it's terrible.
The parts fit's just abominable. And you get one thing, like you think you've got it right, but if you got it wrong, it sets up like a domino effect to the whole kit, and nothing seems to fit. Now, if you look on section 2 of the instructions, there's all that's keeping Kong on, which his body's just kind of a shell, are these 2 little tabs on either side of the thronester, the left and right. 2 little tabs. That's all clip it on, and one of them snapped off during a test fit. If you want to go to the pictures.
Sure. Give me a second here. I'm gonna go. I have to zoom out and then get back to actually. There we go.
So Yeah, I could use some feedback on this. I ended up, last time I did this, I was bashing in all these bats and rats from other Aurora kits to try to obscure gaps. I ended up with one major gap here because, as I said, I couldn't really register Kong without the second tab. So I put in this snake, I think it's from the Mummy's Chariot, just to, cover it up. The reason I did, one thing that worked out was I dry brushed gray over black for the skin, and then I washed a bit of blue. And I think it gave some depth to it, give that cheap gorilla look. The reason I did this is I had this idea, if you want to go to one of the other pictures, that I was going to do a drag race diorama with Godzilla's go-kart. Because
I plan to do the exact same thing. I just got a Godzilla's go-kart.
Oh, yeah.
And I've
You're
got
doing the same thing. Oh,
I've got the weirdos with the guy with the checkered flag, and I'm planning to make a diorama with Freddie Flameout towing a banner overhead.
Weirdos is
okay.
hot,
Well, then it's been done. It's going to be done then, so I don't have to do it, do I?
Well, I haven't done it yet. One of about 300 things on the agenda.
I wanted to do it for Guelph. If Guelph is still on, do you guys see any merit in the idea?
Of course.
Yeah,
Sure.
Great idea.
Of course. And Guelph is still on.
Oh, have they set a date yet?
No, but Steve did tell me that it is on. Just they'll figure it out, but it's still on.
Do they know what month even?
Sorry?
Do they know what month Guelph would be?
Oh, that would be September, October, probably September.
Okay.
Are these original
Pardon my
Auroras?
ignorance. What is Guelph?
Sorry.
The
Sorry.
city.
It's a city north of Toronto where they do an annual hobby model contest.
Okay.
Sorry, guys. Sorry, Max.
No worries.
Are these original Aurora or
No.
Polaroids?
I'm very poor. These are.
Yeah. I
Polaroids
was wondering. Because I think Godzilla's go-kart goes for a couple $1,000s. doesn't it?
No. If you, I've heard it go for like 10,000 sealed.
Yeah.
Something like that.
You guys are probably aware there's actually a cottage industry in fraudulent counterfeiting original kits.
Yeah.
And it didn't help that Aurora, because one of their things they were going to do to try and get girls interesting models bottomed out on them, and they got stuck with all these wild colored styrenes by the container shipload. Nate Shikes was like, we're not throwing it away. So you were getting pink helicopter. Andy Anches had one. He had the Sikorsky helicopter shot in pink. And so you can never tell by the color if it's an old one or a new one.
So if you're interested in Aurora kits, Tom Graham's book, Aurora Model Kits.
Yep.
For those of us who love the history of the hobby as well. So there's Aurora Model Kits. He's got a book on Revell, a book on Monogram. Max, I think that's, how many other books does he have?
He has one on, I got 4 of them right here. The 3 you just mentioned, plus box top air power, which is about the artists. But he also he's done a couple of them on Aurora slot cars. He's done a few of them.
Yep.
Two of
Yep.
them.
Got those as well.
And I've got Andy and Dennis Prince's thing on the Aurora monster scenes. And that's a whole thing. Yeah.
The monster scenes. Oh,
yes. You guys know the story about the 1971 riots against Aurora, right? Well, protests.
Wow. Yeah.
No?
Anyway,
Guillotine or
we're still
something?
in show and tell. We're still in show and tell. So.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. We'll get back to some of that.
Yeah, we'll get back to that.
Because I'm interested in hearing it. So
Yeah.
Paul, tell us, was there anything else that you were like, because obviously you said there was some problems putting this together, and was there any other issues that you had, or like what, because it looks like a fun kit. It looks old, looks like fun. Like,
did you have trouble with the steering wheel?
I don't know if Paul's still on. Did we lose him?
When I did mine, the steering wheel didn't fit in his hand and in the steering column. It was the wrong length. And I know I had Kong sitting correctly, and there's 2 holes for the steering post. So it's like, this can't be wrong, but it was about yay far off, which I was like, you've got to be kidding me.
I wonder if we lost Paul. I don't see him online. So maybe we did. Maybe
I chased him off.
No. I think we lost him. He must have fallen off by accident or something. But he'll come back on. So, all right, I'll move on, and let's see if I can get another set of photos up
Have
here.
you
Yeah.
noticed that the head and face on Kong is actually better than Aurora's actual King Kong model?
Oh, I never noticed that. Oh,
That's
yeah.
pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Right. So let's get to, we had some other ones here. Let's see.
I think
who else?
Paul's hanging out with the forgotten prisoner of Castle Mare. Now there's a reference. There's a reference for old Aurora heads.
Yeah.
I'm going to bring up, let me bring it back to Jonathan's. Jonathan, if you're able to talk.
Yeah.
This isn't model kits, but this is kind of cool anyway. So tell us what we're looking at.
Okay, so on the May the 22nd, late afternoon on the Sunday, I found out that I was no longer the alternate to go down to Canaveral to see a launch. I was the go guy. So I had to rush to get a hotel and a rental car. And the rental car was interesting because my credit card got blocked because I have never rented a car for one day and I didn't log into the site I usually used. I used it as a guest. So 5 hours later, I got the credit card unlocked, but I'd already used another card. So we went down to see a launch at Canaveral, and it's one of the Falcon 9 rockets. And to get to be this close, you have to have a ticket to the Kennedy Space Center, and then you pay an additional $49 to get to the gantry on a bus. And the gantry used to be used to see the launches of the Saturn V's and the space shuttle. So it's actually in the wrong direction. So, and then there's a $10 parking fee as well, which was kind of annoying. But we managed to get there in the nick of time. And these are the pictures of the launch. Now, this is where it's actually, they're putting the liquid oxygen in about 37 minutes before launch. And they warn you it's not ready to go up. Just, keep an eye on it, but we're going to have the countdown's going on. We had a 20-minute delay, so that was okay. Then if you want to flip over to another one, this is it actually starting. I've got lots more in between, but I've just picked a few. It's pretty loud, but nothing like a Saturn V would be. You can see the gantry moving out. The towers all around it are actually lightning rods, which is cool. But I got to be honest, I could not believe the wind that day. The wind was buffeting my tripod. My hair was flying out across the top of my head kind of thing. And I'm thinking, there's no way they'll launch with this wind. Well, yeah, they do. So that's going up. I met an engineer. She's got a payload on this thing she's been working on for 4 years. So kind of neat to talk to her about all the stuff going on. And then the unusual part of this one, it's going up, but we actually got to see it land, these were taken from 2.4 miles away at launch, and the landing is 10 miles down. And you can see here that you're not getting any of the smoke from the first stage anymore. This first stage will go up a bit more, and then it starts to come back down, which I got to be honest is the weirdest thing out, because you're watching a rocket come backwards. And there's something psychologically that this should not be what's happening. And just after it lands, you get a double sonic boom. And the guy says, you might be hanging on to something and you might be sitting, but you'll still jump a bit. And he's right. It was a damn good double bang. The building on the right is only 5 miles away. So you're getting the foreshortening effect of the telephoto lens here. But it was nice that we got to see a launch and a landing.
Well, real quick, you know what? No, I'll save it for later because you guys, I'm Captain Tangent. You bring us out. Oh, let me talk about this.
I'm gonna share Derek's, and then I have Andrew's, and then Harvey, I can pass it over to you afterwards.
Okay,
right?
sure.
So,
Yep.
let me get Derek's up here, and I think Derek, you're on the call. I hope.
Oh, nice.
Cool, man.
Wow.
Hey guys, this is my Heller constellation, about 95% done. As I said last time, I'm using the a Blue Angels Blue, which was a lacquer paint I got from Home Depot. So lacquer is it does chemical things if you put on too much, and you're going to regret it. So I chose this shade of Blue Angels Blue. There's no single Blue Angels Blue. It starts off very dark as glossy sea blue, and on the Hellcats is a very pale milky blue relative to the dark colors. Anyway, so I put on the blue, which is called bright blue. Then I masked it and put on the yellow stripe. And when I took the masking off for the yellow stripe, there was a lot of edgy stuff, even though I had pre-sprayed it with clear gloss to hopefully fill up all the spaces under the edging tape. So I got some clear decal and sprayed it with the bright blue, and then I edged the yellow stripe to smooth it out as much as possible. So that I was satisfied with that. The decals, the Blue Angels in front is a double decal, because the decal I had did not look yellow standing on top of the very dark blue. So I had to double decal in many places. And the decals I had were disintegrating spectacularly. So I had a real problem on my hands. Anyway, let's go on. So this is it in my display space. You can see another Heller constellation next to it. That one is done in engine gray and white and in international orange. But I have it, it's finished now. The propellers were too glossy, so I had to matte them down a bit, and they look much better, even though they're metallic, as being a mattish metallic rather than a glossy metallic. And if you look here, there's a Shell sign. Now, why Blue Angels has to display the fact that they use Shell gasoline, I'm not sure, but it was on the decal sheet, so I put it on. And then the next one, this is at it. This is looking down on it from above. You can see the other constellation there. Still a little bit glossy, but I had fought with this so long and hard that I decided it's time to stop. I'm not going to mess with this anymore. So it's a very glossy Blue Angels constellation. I put it on my display space, and I'm not going to go back to it. And now I'm fighting with a Historic Wings Airspeed Ambassador, which is a vac form kit. It's a kit from hell.
All vac form kits.
Yeah, all vacuum form kits, Derek.
This one is at the leading edge of bad vac form kits. Dimensionally challenged, no detail whatsoever. So as I go along, I have to scratch build all the detail as I build the bigger parts. Anyway, so that's my constellation that I've got up on my space.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Oh, that's great, Derek.
Wow, very good.
Nice, really nice.
Derek, I'm
Nice.
gonna embarrass you, Derek. Weren't you like a freaking surgeon or something? You're operating on people's brains, and you're having problems with a model airplane. I'm just saying, Derek. I'm just saying. You're being humble.
Once upon a
I'm
time.
envious of anybody that can do anything in a straight line.
Yeah.
Guys, if I may say something, Derek, that looks wonderful. What a
Yeah.
great aircraft.
Thanks.
I found like spraying lacquer paints on airliner models, and I put a tape line down. A lot of times I would use electrical tape so I can hopefully get no bleed under of the other color. But what I found was remove the tape, and I had some bleed from the color, and I would take the micro mesh polishing system and start at about 8,000 water, and it would get rid of the bleed piece of the colors that have bled through, and it would make it a solid, crisp line. That's just depending on the paint, of course, but I found that a couple times.
What is that?
It is a
barometric
pressure
chamber.
pot. It's
A thermal detonator.
no,
What is that?
it's a pressure pot, and
Yeah.
it's 2.5 feet long. And it took me about a month to put this thing together. What it's made for is for obviously pressure pot casting with resin or clear resin, and it's made to take airliner fuselages. And so I sourced all the pieces. It's to pressurize to 35 psi. It's got a relief valve at the top end at 40 psi. And then I've got which is where David's pointing to right there. That's the relief valve. And obviously an intake valve, which I just open and I hook a line to it, pressurize it to 35 PSI. On the end piece, so the airliner will go inside in fuselage halves, the idea is. So the idea is to paint the fuselage, the airliner fuselage, all white with lacquer paint in two halves, and then tape the back side of the outside of the fuselage, pour the clear resin in, throw it into this thing, close it off and pressurize it, and it'll blow the gas bubbles out. And then you got clear windows. Pull the tape off, do your joints, respray the lacquer, rub it all out, and you've got perfectly clear windows. And
it's really for making windows, not fuselages.
That's right. Sorry. That's correct. Yeah, just to put clear windows in a airliner model. Most of the stuff I do is 1/144 scale. So it's made to take up to a 747, basically.
Just be aware that some resins won't cure with the adhesive against it, right? So I think epoxies will, some urethanes won't.
Yeah, I've already done some tests with it. This is the end piece, just showing where the cap is. So I've already tested the resin that I bought off Amazon. It's clear and it's fine. Yeah, it sets, no problem.
Okay, can I ask what kind it is? I'm just curious.
There's a photo coming up there. This is a fuselage which is not painted yet. So I would paint the fuselage white, then let it cure, then put the tape over it, flip it over on the back side, then fill it with the resin, and that's the next photo coming up, which is just the type of resin I'm using. That I've tried it as a couple test pieces that ended up with bubbles in them. So
very cool.
And I went to my local plumber store and I bought some of these pieces. I bought some of the fixtures, like the the pressure relief, 40 PSI. I bought that off Amazon. And I learned a lot about it on YouTube, of all things, because there was a guy in the States casting stuff and trying to make custom pressure pots. So
Andrew, let me ask a question. So
sure.
Because I kind of understand it, but what is it exactly this is doing? Because you're going to put the resin into the fuselage, you're going to put the fuselage into this, and then you're going to raise the pressure on it.
Right. And what it does is a pressure pot. I'm sorry I didn't explain this. What it does, you can do it two ways. You can negatively pressure something, or you can positive pressure. This is positive pressure. It'll blow the air bubbles out of the resin.
Oh, okay.
It goes clear.
I gotcha.
How much resin do you put inside the fuselage?
It doesn't matter. Like I fill it up so that the tape, obviously, I just fill it in. So I was generally putting a good 1/8 of an inch in plus.
Okay.
Out of the fuselage. And so what I did initially was I did a test to see if the resin would cure, obviously, to make sure it's a good product. But I haven't got that far yet. Like, I just did those test pieces, which I don't have any photos of, but they ended up with bubbles in them. So this thing will just remove the bubbles, and then hopefully by the next month we'll have a fuselage all done.
I think it looks kind of cool, but I'm sure if somebody from the authorities came down and saw this,
don't try to take that offline.
Okay, so a couple of things here. So I talked to the plumbing supply place, which is a family-owned place. I talked to the owner, and I said, okay, so the piping, it's rated to 320 PSI if it's assembled properly. And that's for liquid. I'm using air pressure. So I'm using a 10% of that. So the rating of 320 PSI on this pipe, it's a 6-inch pipe, by the way, guys. So if I look at that and say, well, they've probably got a safety factor on top of that. And as long as it's assembled properly, because I got an end cap on it, and then another cap on another piece on the other end, which is the screw cap. So the main thing I had issue with it was where the screw cap was the gasket that goes on the inside to seal it, and I've just got that fixed now, so I can hold the pressure.
Yeah, you can see the gasket right here.
Yeah, it's a little clear piece there. Yeah.
The other areas of concern would obviously be where the pressure gauge is and where the air inlet is, because that's also an entry point, right?
Yes.
So just be careful in there.
Actually, they're tapped. I tapped the joint, or sorry, a pipe thread tap. I used put those pieces in there, and then they are taped, and it's also epoxied on the inside as well as an extra measure. And this is what the guy in the States had done on YouTube, and he was really, made sure it was safe. And I look at it like I'm putting 35 PSI in there, 40 PSI pressure relief. You know what? If the end blows off, it's going to be like a woof, scare the crap out of the family. But
yeah, out of curiosity, Andrew, what gas are you using?
Just air, just straight air off my compressor. I've got a flexible line that runs off the Iwata.
All right.
And I just let it, the hose piece clamps onto the air inlet piece there, which is like a tire pressure or a tire thing.
Slowly goes up. Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's all. Just take your time, and you get it to the curing time on this material is about 45 minutes, like till it starts setting. So I've got lots of work time. I need 10 minutes. You mix it, you put it inside, pressurize it.
Hey, Andrew, is that water in the pressure gauge?
No, actually, it's kind of funny. That came from Amazon, and it's oil in the. So I don't know what it does. Somebody who's an engineering guy or a plumber would know.
Those pressure gauges do have they come with like a fluid that's inside of them. They don't necessarily. I think I can't remember what the reasoning is behind it. Because
when you put those gauges on some machinery, sometimes it's like shaking really
yeah.
So you don't want to. The shaking will actually damage the internal parts of the pressure gauge.
So it's like a damping.
Yeah, it's damping. So they fill it up. It's kind of a silicone thing. So it'll dampen any kind of excess shaking that would potentially damage your gauge.
Yeah, we use those use the same type of gauges in home brewing. So it's similar sort of thing. Like whether you're, so that's why I recognize all the parts. I'm like, oh yeah, I know what that is, right?
Well, we're not brewing it in here yet, but.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention. I know Paul, who is here, and I think we lost him, was probably going to talk about Wonderfest happened this past weekend down in Louisville, Kentucky.
Okay.
And that's the big sci-fi fantasy model show down there. I'm going to drop a link into the chat for anybody who wants to go look later or whatever, of a gallery of almost 400 photos and on Facebook. So apparently they had 844 entries this year. It's a new record for them.
Oh, wow.
And if you think about it, that's just science fiction, fantasy, horror, superhero stuff, right? No real aircraft. Well, there's a few real aircraft, like hypothetical stuff in that. But so it was an impressive show. I didn't get to go for health reasons this year. At the last minute, I had to bail on it. But again, an impressive amount of stuff. I did manage to do some shopping virtually with some friends. I bought some stuff ahead of time, had some friends pick it up for me, and then I saw a few things on display that I had people pick up for me. I was able to pay with PayPal, then they brought it back, so including an airbrush and some stuff like that. So an impressive show. If you want to take a look at that gallery I dropped in the chat, the quality of figure painting and modeling at this show and the spacecraft and hardware, it's like nothing you see anywhere else except maybe at the Nationals. But I'm not sure how many entries the Nationals get, but this is it's a very niche, you would think, a very niche part of the hobby, but they still get, almost 900 entries every year. So it's really
David, it's pretty much sci-fi, is that correct? And more like that type?
It's like sci-fi, fantasy, horror.
Okay.
So, and like, superhero kind of stuff and all that kind of thing, right?
Yeah, I know a couple of my friends who are purely military model build, they went down this year. So
yeah.
Wow.
It's attracting, it's attracting other hardcore military guys because you can learn many different techniques from other genres. So
yeah, and it's a great weekend. The show is basically 3 days. They have a couple of classes. They have an airbrushing class, a figure painting class on Friday, and then over the course of the weekend, your $25 entry gets you into all these seminars. So you want to learn about figure painting or about, building sci-fi hardware or weathering or anything that applies to, I mean, figure painting's figure painting. If you're doing, you know, a little Nazi guy, or if you're doing some kind of a sci-fi guy, it's all the same techniques, right?
By the way, on a shout out, David Grummett's got this new, well, I don't know, it's relatively new, the Fantasy Figure Painting magazine out of UK. It's fantastic, and I'm a military guy, but get it, because you can learn so much from other types of painting domains.
What was that, Harvey? What was the name of it?
It's David Grummett. He's got he does military modeling international, but he's also got a fantasy figure magazine out now from the UK. I don't know if you know the name of it, David, but it's glossy. It's very nice. It's a very nice magazine.
I've never heard of it.
Yeah, it's I got a few. You can get it here in Canada. You can get
Indigo
it.
has it.
Indigo
has does.
Yeah, Indigo. It's great. It's probably the leading fantasy figure. I buy them all the time because I always want to learn different. Even
It's
though
Fantasy Figures International.
That's it. Just like Military Modeling International. David Grummett. Yeah, he's the editor.
That's good. Okay, that's all I got to say about that. So I just thought I would give it a quick plug.
Great.
Thanks.
I'll be really quick. I don't think you guys have seen my Panzer IV diorama for Berlin, have you? No, I don't think so. I'm going to show you some quick photos, which will take just like a minute or two, and I'm going to play another one of my goofy videos. So let me just share the screen, and this will just take a sec. Everyone see that? Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So just quickly, this is a little vignette that I did as part of a fast group build here in Toronto, a bunch of small guys of us, where we were challenged with doing something in like 2 or 3 months. And I took this book and I started to plan a vignette of a Panzer IV. They call them Stylungs, which are stationary tanks in Berlin. And this is a vignette that is currently in the current issue of Fine Scale Modeler. You'll see it in there. And it's basically just, believe it or not, it's a quick build. I added little signal magazines on the interior of a Panzer. I don't do a lot of vignettes, but this one was based on a photo. And that's basically what it looks like. So it's probably a good segue to Mark because it was on display. I just brought it for display only at the Norriscon convention just a couple of weeks ago. So that's what it looks like now. Again, you can see it's based on photos. That's the tank after the war. And I just kind of superimposed the model in the photo. That's the original photo that I based the vignette on. And that's the model superimposed on the photo. If you're wondering what that sign means, it's a wedding. So after the war, I don't know much more about this tank. When I asked Steve Zaloga, and he suggested it was probably abandoned as opposed to destroyed at the end of the war. And now I'm going to play. I do a lot of. I'm an amateur film editor, so I do a lot of these weird videos. This one's about 3 minutes. I'll play that, and then I'll hand it over to Mark. So let me just share the video. Everyone see that?
Yep.
Okay, actually, let me just, hold on. Let me just stop share. Let me just maximize the video, optimize the video clip. Hold on. Okay, I'm going to play it now. Just sit back and just watch, and you'll see how goofy and gimpy I am in this hobby.
that was a happy accident. The problem with the history videos is, and I pointed this out a few times, is I'm out of all the low hanging fruit, and it's getting harder and harder to find information on companies because I've done the Revels, the Hasegawas, Ashimas, and all those. Now I'm getting down to Mach 2 or Shark Kit. I'm like, and some of these little companies it's just impossible to get any background on them. They're just, they disappeared a long time ago. That was that.
Yep.
Scalemates is something I'm like, really? That if you guys don't have anything, how am I supposed to find something?
Yep. Well, look, talking about NorEastCon, the appeal went out for Canadian modelers to participate, and we gave out a special for the best Canadian subject. And you guys, you don't do anything halfway. There were plenty of people that had made that effort of the 6-hour drive, going across an international border to get to the show, and you all really helped support this and make the show a tremendous success. So I thought I'd share some pictures with you. There were 600 modelers. I'm sorry, there were 600 models from 100 modelers. You can just see how crowded the tables are.
It was packed. It was a great fun show.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Yeah, it was fun.
Well, being close to New York City, we had some Ukrainian modelers there, and this is actually a picture they took of a kid that had made a Hero of Kiev, or Ghost of Kiev model, and that's an actual flag from the battlefield in 2014 in Donbass.
Huh, I didn't even know that, Mark. Huh.
ICM now has a Ghost of Kiev MiG-29 kit on the market now.
Yes, I heard.
Here's Harvey's diorama that you just saw, and it's always fun to go down to my mailbox and open up Find Scale and find something, a feature article from somebody I know. So I'm sure to the relief of many of the participants, he did not enter this in competition.
I'm sitting here with that Find Scale on my lap. I was like, I have that magazine.
Oh, there you go, Max. There you go.
Harvey was one of the people that really added value to the attendees because he gave a presentation on weathering aircraft. And as most of you would know, that's kind of a brand new area for a lot of people. It's kind of been the bailiwick of armor modelers. And I think he did a fantastic job kind of bringing it all together for the aircraft community.
Thank you, Mark.
Yeah, that was a great seminar, Harvey. Really enjoyed that.
Thanks, AJ. It was fun doing it.
And you can see that he rivaled Steve Zaloga, who is a common name for many of us, who did another finishing demo. Here's the picture of the award.
It's a great award, Mark. Thank you for that.
Roy Hu won. I think many of you might know him.
Yeah, we know Roy.
It's nice. Wow.
Yeah.
He won for this Canadian Firefly Sherman. And what you might not know is that his mother had died, and the next thing after the show, he was going to use this model in a remembrance of life celebration for her. I think she was 83 years old when she passed away, and he made the 83 different bands of cloth hanging off of the Firefly. And he actually—
stunning. It was stunning.
So well done. So well done. Yeah.
I don't know him that well, but I don't know if he's superstitious, but he actually thought that his mother's spirit had guided the judges.
Yeah, I've known him for quite a while, and there's Jonathan. Just a quick go back to the Sherman. I don't think I mentioned this to you, Mark, but Roy and I kind of like gag around a lot, and while we were there, we just decided to do banter and nothing but Chinese, just to see what the reaction was, guys. And we're being very emotional about looking at what we called alleged white people's models, and that Chinese models were better. We were just doing it as a joke, and we were just getting these reactions. And we said, well, it's all a fun joke. So I've known Roy for quite some time. He's quite a character. So well done. Well done.
That is funny, and I want to thank you, Harvey, and Jonathan, who had to drop off the call. But you can see here he did pretty well without winning the the best Canadian. And I think the two of you together, even though you weren't part of the judging team, did a fantastic job making sure that you pointed out to the judges all the Canadian entries. Because we had an administrative glitch that we really needed your help to make sure we didn't leave anybody out.
Thank you.
So you might recognize some of your models here. I don't know if I got them all, but here's a great representation of some of the stuff that was out there.
So gang, that's yours, right?
Yeah,
That's
mine.
That's a Jenny, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a converted Jenny. It's the old Limburg kit, and I converted to a Canuck.
Wow.
Wow. Limburg. That was gorgeous, by the way.
Lorenzo.
Where? Oh yeah, yeah.
Canadair, not a North American.
That's the one.
Isn't it
Actually, I
great
know
how people
somebody
are
that
getting very
flew
creative with
all
bases?
those.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's nice. That was an American modeler doing a Canadian,
Wow.
like a fourth brigade. Yeah, that's quite cool.
The competition was so fierce. This model didn't even place.
Oh, you're kidding me. Wow.
That's just incredible.
In fact, after NorrisCon, there's a discussion now about open judging, but let's not open up that Pandora.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
that's nice.
That's cool.
That's nice.
I kind of expected to see one of these.
Yeah. This picture's just ruined by two people in the background that are kind of.
bunch of lumps.
Now, off camera here, Jonathan had actually a magnifying glass so that you could use
This was nuts. This thing? Oh.
Yeah. What was it?
Only about
1/700, eh?
What's less than an inch long or something, Mark?
it can't be more than 2 inches long.
Yeah, something.
Phenomenal. Just the size of it. I'm looking at it going.
Yeah, he left the meeting early for therapy. That's why he did.
So
that.
this is one of Jonathan's? Like what like what kit was this?
I don't know. Honestly I don't know. I think it's a resin kit.
Yeah.
Cow.
You see, it's all about the
Nice
geography. It's all about the geography. In Florida, we see this, we think Titanic. In Canada, you see that and you think Tuesday.
Oh, well said there, Max. Well said.
All right.
I think another American modeler had this.
That's cool.
Just to be clear, that is a rocket.
This is
It's a rocket. Yeah, this one's Jonathan's, I believe.
Yeah. Yeah.
350.
That's an S-class US boat. Oh, that's goofy me looking at it. That's an S-class boat. And that's an S-class boat as well. His was 350, mine's 72nd.